Mr. Olson, your division has a very big job keeping track of both domestic and terrorism and international terrorism. So I was surprised to see the Attorney General think that your division should redirect time from those threats to policing matters of local school boards. I was even more surprised to learn that the FBI's counterterrorism division is tagging school board cases involving the federal national security programs on local school board matters has a chilling effect on freedom of speech and freedom petition your government. In this case, the nation's parents going to the school board. The entire Republican side of this committee has asked Garland to withdraw his memo federalizing school board cases. To date, we haven't received that happening. So, Mr. Olson, Garland said that your division is going to be working on school board cases. In a press release, we read that accompanied his memo. What is the division doing with regard to local school boards? And for Ms. Sanborn, is it true that the counterterrorism division is tracking school board cases? If it is, will you stop that practice that has a chilling effect on school board meetings? First of all, Mr. Olson.
Thank you very much, Ranking Member Grassley. I can assure you that nothing is deterring or interfering or otherwise making it more difficult for us to focus on our core responsibilities in the National Security Division of investigating and prosecuting international and domestic terrorism. This remains the top priority for our division. It remains a top priority for the Department of Justice, and we remain committed to that priority. As the Attorney General's memo indicated, there has been an increase in violence and threats of violence against individuals who serve in positions of public trust, school board members, teachers, other public officials, and this is a serious concern. It's a concern that I share. The National Security Division, for its part, is playing an advisory role in supporting the work of the department, making sure that when there may be a case that would rise to the level of one where we have some role to play, that we're there to support the rest of the department. But it's certainly not a particular focus for the National Security Division, nor do I have any anticipation that it would be. It is, I think, an important role, however, for the Justice Department as a whole, largely run by the Criminal Division, the Civil Rights Division, and other components of the Justice Department.
Ms. Sanborn, your response?
Yes, sir. I would echo that this is not a particular focus for the Counterterrorism Division, and nothing has changed in our authorities, our policies, or how we go about investing our cases. I would just add to the tagging question that you asked is, first of all, something would have to rise to be either an allegation of violating federal law or have already violated federal law for the FBI to even be involved in investigating that. And the tagging is simply an administrative process to be able to better analyze trends, et cetera. But again, the key here is this has not changed our authorities, and a violation of federal law would have to be at the heart here for us to be involved.
Ms. Sanborn, you were the assistant director of the division during the 2020 riots. I understand that this was an extremely difficult time for the FBI. I've heard I heard it may have been the only time in history where the command posts of every FBI field office were activated at the same time. Every day there were reports of multiple riots, more cases to be opened, domestic terrorism agents dispatched to places like Portland to help rein in the violence. My question, in June of this past year, our committee was briefed that the FBI had opened more than 500 domestic terrorism investigations as a result of the 2020 riots. Of those where the ideology could be identified, 75% were anarchist extremists. Anarchist extremism is the FBI term for Antifa. The FBI told us then that they were still trying to hold other subjects accountable for acts during the summer riots. Has the number of domestic terrorism investigations opened as a result of the 2020 riots grown or changed since June of that year? And my second question, my second question is, I think it's fair to say that the FBI was surprised by a lot of the riots that happened in 2020 and the Capitol riot as well on January 6th. How is the FBI improving its visibility into improvements that it has previously not tracked well, like the anarchist extremists? I'll wait for your answer.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to quickly talk about the investigations as it relates to 2020 and the violence that we all saw around the peaceful protest. And it's hard to understand the aggregate of that, so I appreciate the opportunity. We have opened about slightly more than 800 cases. So yes, more than when you were last briefed on that. And our arrests in those cases are just a little bit north of 250. So still making progress on those cases. To the second part of your question, I would say some of the things that we're asking ourselves to do better, not only as a result of 2020, but as a result of January 6th, is how do we collect better and more information, right? Pushing collection, more human sources, et cetera. I think you heard me say previously, you've never met an analyst that didn't want more intel. And so we are definitely trying to do better in collecting and gathering information from sources. Sharing information quickly and as broadly as possible is another area that we're continuing to try to improve.
Thank you, Ms. Sanborn.